Hello, everyone, and welcome to your horoscope to the very last week of the year 2023. And before I get into the details, I would just like to wish everyone a blessed Christmas or blessed winter celebrations in your shape and form that you celebrated in. And I would like to thank absolutely everyone for all your love, all your support, all your generosity, all the life-saving moments that I have received in the year 2023 and not just. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for all the shares, all the likes, all the comments, for listening. And thank you to everyone who has chosen me from all those wonderful, talented, loving, and magical astrologers available in the world. And still, you have chosen me. Thank you so much for your trust and for your support. And also, this is a week where generosity and gratitude have a very special place, not just in our traditions, because, basically, gratitude and also generosity go hand in hand with the winter celebrations. But also, this is astrologically very present in the sky, because one of the highlights of next week is a very beautiful conversation that Jupiter holds with the sun that does speak about exactly that, being grateful for everything. But there is so much happening in the sky this week. This is where for us it may be a holiday, but the planets and the stars are definitely not taking a time out. This is where the energies keep on flowing, keep on preparing us, and keep on bringing those important and massive karmic moments closer and closer into our lives. Now, with this being said, I would just like to invite you to look at my screen and we'll go through the week together because, as I said, there is a lot happening in the sky besides the important celestial conversation between the planet. Jupiter and Chiron are also changing directions this week, so it is definitely massive. And again, Jupiter, the planet of generosity, the planet which has a lot to do with gratitude, with blessings, with feeling that existence in our own unique way supports us. So the highlight from more than one perspective is gonna be on Jupiter. So I really hope that everyone out there feels this very as strongly as possible in your own individual lives. The blessing that this advantaged this week, Jupiter truly represents, personally, but also in the world out there. I really wish for everyone in their own way to feel some kind of blessings, to feel the generosity of others, and not necessarily materially, even though living the generosity physically may be much more highlighted in the present moment than generally, because this is an earth energy that we're speaking about. And earth energy does mean that it has to be one way or another embodied. So yes, generosity, but also Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, the philosophy of gratitude, and also the magnetism of gratitude. Because when our souls and our beings are, let's say, overflooded with the energy of gratitude, that acts almost like a magnet, attracting more and more experiences to be grateful for. And the energy of gratitude is also infectious because simply it reminds another person of everything they themselves have to be grateful for in their lives. So, yeah, and the other planet, which isn't really a planet, that is going to change signs, is Chiron. So all of us are going to be reminded that much more intensified about healing our wounds, and what all of this has done in our lives to us personally. Chiron in the sign of Aries. Who did our wounds and our healing journeys transform us into? And for certain people, it can even be true. In which way did the wound that they gave deliver to others transform them? Because, you know, usually a wound is like a double-edged blade where in a way you receive, but you also deliver. And many times in the way that it is totally invisible to us, especially when we deliver. But trust me that usually the wound is mutual or reciprocal, one way or another, even if that is very many times totally invisible to us. So let us start with the most important aspects of next week, where we open the week with the sun holding a sextile, so a conversation of harmony with Saturn. And the sun is in Saturn's home sign of Capricorn. So this is a really, really beautiful energy. This simply says that something that we invest faith, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, but also, let's say, energy, but energy which is, you know, linked to mastery, which is linked to sacrifice of time, sacrifice of, you know, thoughts, brainstorming, thinking, sacrifice of learning, sacrifice of uh, going by the rules or anything like that, gets us a very, very, very long way in this period, because Saturn is the energy which is responsible of making things material, sorry, or the opposite, preventing something from becoming real, from becoming material. And the sun in Saturn's home sign of Capricorn gives us all that much the awareness, the knowledge of what certain things require for them to be completed, for them to be come to fruition, for example, or to have a very powerful material effect. So this energy is really, really good, both from a deeply spiritual, alchemical, a psychological way, where anything that we invest towards the completion of our hopes and dreams and desires is gonna really, really show up in our lives. But at the same time, everything that we invest from a very down to earth and practical, sometimes even official perspective, is really gonna contribute the same way as the spiritual towards the completion or manifestation of something. And when I say official, well, Capricorn sometimes represents our connection with authorities, with organizations, with top-down authority. So that can also be part of the picture. But as I said, even just psychologically, this sextile is really, really positive, fortifying, grounding, and leading us to somewhere concrete. Another energy that plays out at the same time is that Mars is at this 22nd degree of Sagittarius. Now, 22nd degree, regardless of the nature of the sign, is usually a critical degree. It is where a symbolism of the planet is, let's say, more impacting than usual. And this Mars also still holds a quincunx with the planet Uranus from the sign of Taurus. So again, the surprise factor is still there. Now, this energy can go either way, because I am 1,000,000% convinced that the surprise factor for very many people out there is going to be really positive. It is going to be really pleasant, delightful. not just because Christmas and, as I said, the powerful Jupiter, so pleasant surprises and gestures and, things that they really, really didn't expect, but it comes as something really positive that impacts them. Of course, it can also represent, the unexpected, chaos, simply said. Sometimes even accidents, sometimes even very unusual weather phenomenons, and or Earth events, because Uranus is in the earthly sign of Taurus, and we did see this play out on the world stage, especially a few days back when this energy was exact, when it was perfected, like the Iceland volcano and the earthquake and the fires in some places, floods in other places, etc., etc., and also the massive solar flares that we experienced in the past couple of days. Also, the technological disruption, but the technological disruption is also Mercury retrograde as well. So there's that side of that. But we did see the power of chaos unfold very powerfully. But where I want to go with this is that the chaos can also represent fated events, fated chaos, when the synchronicity, let's say, or the unexpected, or the coincidence connects you or gets you into important situations. And it is the importance of that situation which might determine if it's more inconvenient for you, because the outcomes can be very, very disruptive, or if it's the pleasant kind of surprise for you. And also at the same time, Mercury retrograded back into Sagittarius on top of the galactic center. So Mercury is quite energized by this galactic center. This is where it truly helps to see the big picture and feel the big picture, not just externally, but also in our individual lives, as in where things are going, where our own destiny, where our own fate, let's say, is leading us. Of course, we might not be 1,000,000% convinced Mercury is in exile after all, but even just feeling this, even just having a general idea is more than enough, and it is grounding. And it is also leaving space for the excitement of the mystery. Everything that we do not know, everything that we cannot anticipate, is basically the mystery. It is basically the adventure, which Sagittarius energy is so specific of. The adventure, the excitedness, the optimism. I don't know where this journey leads to, this travel or any kind of Sagittarian expression, but I'm so excited for it because I know I'm going to make it special for myself, or I just feel serendipitous about it. So this is definitely part of with the galactic center. We are feeling, seeing, and being able to comprehend Mercury, the big picture of where things are leading us in our lives, in both ways, as in not just the optimistic and the positive, but also the hardships and the pain, perhaps, the sadness, the loss, the ending, the termination of something in our lives. That's also included, because we know that we are ending, or whatever is not so favorable, whatever evokes the sadness. We know that we are in that situation right now, but we're doing that, suffering that out, enduring that for the future, either to be more free in the future, or to have a termination, a closure, giving us something totally new to look forward to in the future. And the reason for certain melancholy, let's say, to be also present this week in our lives and in the energies, is because this Mercury, but as we progress towards the middle of the week, even Mars will hold a square with Neptune. Now for Mercury, this square is not anything all that new, because this is the third, actually no, this is the second time Mercury will perfect the square. The third time will be as it moves through its shadow path. So this square, the potential, as I said, melancholy, sadness, disappointment, disillusionment, things are not as we thought or we anticipated or we dreamed that they were. But this is the specific. That doesn't mean that the dream was an illusion, was a lie. The fantasy was purely fictional, so to speak, that in the sense that it wasn't divinely guided, because maybe the pattern is still the same, just the execution, the modus operandi, the specifics are not the same. So that's why we must not allow ourselves to get disappointed or to judge a situation just because in the present we don't have all that much concrete element to work with. We can be hopeful and faithful in a really healthy way by allowing the energy to play out the way it needs to. As I said, if the purpose, if the pattern is the same that as we hoped for, if it does the same, if it goes for the same goal, for the same purpose, then it's the same, really. You know what I mean? So we must allow the energies to execute themselves as they know best, know in the sense that Mercury conjuncted galactic center, that's the divine mind. So we must allow the square with Neptune to actually be an energy of trust, where we can surrender that which we do not have control over. Now, of course, I know that this may be quite heavy, quite depressing, quite melancholic for some people, because as I said, Mercury, planet of the mind, this and Neptune is drowning. Neptune is dissolving. Neptune is sometimes suffocating, when you fall into very deep water. So this can represent some really heavy moments from a mental perspective, from a psychological perspective, from an emotional perspective, from some people out there. But there is always hope, even in the darkest times. And speaking about the power of hope, Mars in the sign of Sagittarius, as I said, Mars will also perfect the square, even though Mars itself is also holding the square even on this 25th. But Mars in the sign of Sagittarius comes with the fight for true hope, which means that the false hope or the illusion or the pure fantasy or whatever we delude ourselves with have to be acknowledged. And when it's acknowledged, it's washed away by Neptune, and Mars can come with the healthy hope, with the healthy faith, with the healthy trust. Because Sagittarius is without a doubt a sign associated to knowledge, higher understanding, philosophy, the very core of knowledge, philosophy. So Mars comes with all of that. And that is exactly the recipe for healthy and grounded faith. And like astrologer Nadia Shah always says, healthy faith questions itself. This is a week when we will definitely get that. So going back, Mars comes with the optimism, and Mars is the energy, the power, the planet, even the energy, the principle of action, of taking action, of doing, of being, of generating something. The creational start, the glyph of Mars, the masculine organ, you know what I mean? That is exactly hand in hand with the symbolism of Mars. It is not just, deeply philosophically symbolic, but quite literally. The way a male would go about his needs and stuff in life, that is how the energy of Mars enacts itself, especially in a fire sign of Sagittarius where it likes to be. So it comes with the optimism, it comes with the hope, it comes with the strength, but based on something that we know or are discovering, are on the journey of knowing. You know what I mean? And the good thing about this male principle, especially when Mars symbolically is fighting with Neptune, it doesn't give up. Just like a very, how should I say, heated or fiery male, refusal will only make the male's desire and resourcefulness stronger. They will definitely come back with different presence, different way of convincing, different modus operandi, different compliments, but they will come back, you know? So this is actually quite beautiful and positive. And speaking about the compliments and all of that, another energy in the sky, which has to do with Neptune, is Venus, the female principle. So Mars is opposite, trining Neptune. And these two planets, Venus and Neptune, are each other's octaves. They have a certain resonance. Both of them are about love, but each of them are different expressions. Also beauty, illusion, the Maya, what we generate, you know what I mean, and pleasure. And a trine between these two planets, well, that is exactly the spirit of Christmas, really. This even if we strip the religious part from it, even if we just go about the symbolism of winter celebration in a general perspective, just the spirit, the basic spirituality of it, the light, the hope, how we, let's say, step into the role of the sun by being generous, by being loving, by being compassionate. All of us are just one. We're being reminded of our humanity. We're being reminded of great sacrifices others have done, our ancestors, for example, for us. Neptune and Pisces. And then Venus and Scorpio, how that can change the situation, how that can heal, how that can, Scorpio, turn around everything, how that can kill Scorpio, end Scorpio, someone's depression, someone's melancholy. So this is without a doubt the power of love in its most beautiful expression. And this energy can be so very useful for artists, inspiration, feeling, music, arts, tears, but the good kind of tears, cleansing tears, tears of joy, tears of forgiveness, tears of release. This energy is very, very mystical, magical. So anything that has to do with occultism, mysticism, magic, spirituality, spiritual practice is definitely blessed. Anything that has to do with substances, escapism, altered state of consciousness, also highlighted here, and it functions, it works very, very well. Of course, this is something I need to say. Excess in all is not okay. It is not excessive use or anything like that. No, 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 no. So this energy is really, really beautiful, and it is healing also in quite a sensual way, because this is the energy when sensuality, so sexuality, so let's say lust, can actually embrace the spiritual. You know what I mean? This is when love and lust can become one and act as one, merge into one. So quite a beautiful energy and very, very healing. And going back to Mars a little bit, something that is very powerful is that Mars holds a trine with the North Node in his own ruling sign of Aries. And the North Node is conjunct with planetoid Aries. So also an energy which is very Mars-like, which is very linked to Mars. So a very strong trine where this North Node in Aries, our goals, our initiative, our desires, our sovereignty, what it is that we need in our lives, the direction towards which we're heading, Aries, our fight, everything that we need, of course, even survival, of course, we cannot ignore that, especially that for some people, quite many people in the world, it's definitely about just sheer survival, and that's so very sad. But the good part is Mars trine North Node, especially that Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius, which collectively speaking can mean international help, even if it means ignoring the laws. I'm so very sorry, I dropped my microphone again. So even if it means ignoring limitations, ignoring uh laws, if that makes sense, and ignoring laws because at the very beginning of the week, the sun is conjunct dwarf planet Ixion, which is a symbol of not respecting rules and regulations. Anyway, this is a really positive and compassionate energy because Sagittarius is international, so international help can come. But individually speaking, this is empowerment. This is where your hopes, your faith, your strongest motivation basically is empowering you. It is getting you there. It's giving you strength. So really, really beautiful. Then we move on where we can see that Mercury square Neptune is perfected. So this is going to be quite an important day in the Mercury retrograde sense, in the larger sense. Yes, this is an energy of disillusioning, but it means whatever it is that we are eliminating as possibilities, as options, uh, things that disappoint us, things that we become aware that we cannot count on, we cannot rely upon, well, those are actually helpful because we stay in truth. We stay in reality. So reality check wise, this is a really, really good energy. Even though this comes with confusion, this comes with we don't know when, we don't know where other patterns in our lives are leading us towards. We don't know the outcome. We cannot anticipate a lot in a very practical way, you know, but that's also okay because we might be confused technically, practically, mentally, but if with in faith and higher knowledge, trusting ourselves, trusting our senses, trusting the universe, trusting whatever. If we are strong in that, then we are okay. Then this Mercury square Neptune cannot send us into that panicky kind of confusion. And Mars conjunct Mercury basically squaring Neptune as well, that helps. Because Mercury just on its own would actually suffer because Mercury is very disadvantaged being in exile in Sagittarius, and Neptune is a much stronger planet, so it is like washed away, you know, but like a tsunami. But Mars being near Mercury, actually conjunct Mercury, helping Mercury, because Mars is comfortable in Sagittarius, this gives Mercury a fighting chance to not care that confusion, uncertainty, and disappointment is also present in life. It won't care because it will focus on everything that is optimistic, positive, and is working. So yes, and also we can see that the sun's trine to Jupiter is getting stronger and more exact. Again, optimism, gratitude, generosity, help, something helping you in a real sense, something making you feel a certain kind of justice, a certain kind of blessing, the symbolism of Jupiter. Now, needless to say, this week continues the larger theme of Sagittarius, where and the South Node in Libra, issues around law, international law especially, what justice means, what equilibrium in a moral sense means, and anything that has to do with higher knowledge, scientific discoveries, cosmology, aviation, all of that stuff is going to be highlighted on the world stage. So we're going to be hearing news about it, Mercury retrograde, and even contradictory, confusing news, square Neptune, and anything that is released, anything that is so new, so modern, so extravagant. So that's definitely going to be part of our lives. And on the 26th, Chiron stands still in the sky here and prepares to go direct. Now, of course, all of the week, Chiron is not moving really. So all of the week, Chiron is standing still, just like Jupiter, more or less. So this will be a moment when we feel the theme, the general theme of healing, the general theme of wherever it is that we are heading towards in life, because one of those directions has to include the chance to heal life, reality, our home, our environment, our life story, our soul path, regardless of where this falls in your life, something in our lives has to also catalyze healing and our own healing journey. We can also see that at this moment, Venus is still in trine with Neptune, that love energy, compassionate divine love energy there, and also humanity. Basically, that's the word I was looking for. Humanitarianism and our human spirit, humanity, acting, doing its job in the world, along with the chaos and doom and gloom and the bad, of course. Moving on now. So on the 26th or 27th, depending on where you are on the planet, we have a really beautiful full moon in the sign of Cancer. So this full moon is definitely like a Christmas gift from the divine, from the universe to us, because this full moon is, on one hand, the moon is gonna sextile Jupiter. How beautiful. Generosity, love, justice, truth, and our own inner values, our own inner truth. Jupiter in Taurus, it comes as a blessing. Family, our where we belong in the world, physically, genetically, or just on a soul level, mentally even. That helps us one way or another. Family helps us. Love, compassion, feelings, emotions help us. But of course, the sun illuminating the full moon trines Jupiter. So that is another dimension of blessing, another dimension of what truth, what generosity, what the power of our deepest faith can do and can take us, and how it can affect our lives and the lives of everyone, basically. And stripping down the philosophy and the spirituality, This is also a really good energy practically for job, for career, for something that you produce, for something that you put your mastery, time, effort, skills, etc. into, for students where their initiatives get them somewhere practical. This energy is really good for highly skilled professionals who do something principalistic, who do something based on what they believe in. So principle, their worldview, etc., etc. Any gestures, any expression of that get a very long way this season, especially. Sun in a full moon configuration, trine Jupiter, but then the moon is trine Saturn. Could it be more wonderful than that? Because it makes emotion, love, solidarity real, that much more real, that much more impacting. Saturn is conjunct fixed star Fomalhaut, the star of Archangel Gabriel, the spiritual, the, let's say, even miraculous, the alchemical qualities of water come and bless us in a real Saturn way. And also Saturn conjunct Fomalhaut, great divine protection. We are protected from the hooded claw. You know, protection comes naturally. And it is love, it is faith, it is trust that invites the energy of protection into our lives. This sun is also conjunct dwarf planet Quaoar and asteroid Pholus. This means that Quaoar, for example, anything that has to do with arts, dance, music, the power of sound. And when I say power of sound in a very practical means, that means how we deliver information, how we deliver news, how we dress it up, because news is also sound, has a great power. It blesses our lives. It invites the spirit much closer to us, to be present even, you know, physically in our lives through sound, vibration. And then Pholus, what does curiosity and what does the thirst, the healthy thirst for knowledge do to us? It blesses us. And this also represents the courage, the initiation, the strength, the risk of certain people who are part of authority. So some leaders or people within government and stuff like that, their brave and bold actions do something really, really wonderful and positive. Usually with Pluto at the very, very end degrees of Capricorn, this is when their world is exposed for the corrupt and heartless and soulless and purely mathematical world that it is, but there's also a bit of good in it. And this sun conjunct those dwarf planets actually illuminates the good in it, that there is still is good in all of that. But if you'd like to know more about how this full moon may play out, I have a separate video. I'm going to link to it below. Just check it out. I'm not going to dwell on that. So let's move on. We are in the 28th, where Mercury is conjunct Mars. Mercury still retrograde. So in the Mercury retrograde context, this is very, very important because Mars means action. Maybe we will not read Mercury retrograde after all. Maybe we will not take action there and then at the moment of this conjunction, but options are highlighted. Mars, we just know what the good option, the good choice is. We get some crystal clear information, brainstorming or make certain decisions, or have enough info in our lives for us to make a concrete choice, and that's already enough. So, and in the larger sense, Mars conjunct Mercury in the retrograde theme in the sign of Sagittarius. This is the moment when we find alternatives. This is the moment when everything that was delayed, canceled, the chaos came and disrupted our lives a few days or even week before in the Mercury, when Mercury, for example, was still in the sign of Capricorn and started its retrograde. We find solutions to that. We see why that had to happen. We see the good side of everything that Mercury retrograde disrupted us with. So it's really, really positive. Surprise travels, because Mercury retrograde is usually the delay, the disruption, but there's also another side of it where opportunities and unexpectedly certain offers, certain initiations, travel possibilities, etc., all of that come surprisingly without us having been aware of those. So can represent the most beautiful and positive side of Mercury retrograde, when all the surprise moments are actually accepted and fruitified by us. Mars, we accept it, we work with it, we follow it up, and it gets us somewhere. It leads us to somewhere. But we must not forget that both of these planets are squaring Neptune. So this is also a fight to basically hold your faith, the healthiest faith, the healthiest belief. And I must repeat, this, when I say faith, it doesn't mean religious, even though on the world stage, 1,000,000,000,000% it will play out as religious fanaticism and as religious conflict. Okay, that's fine. But in our personal lives, this can simply represent what we believe in matters of anything, not necessarily spiritually or religiously. Our core beliefs guide us always. And also, this is a really, really beautiful, let me show you, day, because fictional energy, so white moon Selena, black moon Lilith, a calculation which represents the darkest side of emotion, the darkest side of the moon. There is white moon Selena, which represents the highest qualities, the most luminous side, the most, let's say, magical side. She is conjunct Jupiter. All, of course, not just this day, all through the week, all through the winter celebration period, until the very end of the year. And this Jupiter amplifies, magnifies, expands. So the very, very, very best within our souls is expanded, and we feel it. We embody it. Taurus, this is actually Taurus energy. So the love, the humanity, the magic, the art, our connection to nature, that is beauty in our soul, is actually amplified and expanded at this moment. And the sun trines this. And another fictional planet, Cupid, trines this. So souls, hearts, people, stories, fates are gonna find one another. This is definitely a blessed, truly blessed energy. And what another thing that Selena conjunct Jupiter says to me is courage, like we never ever felt it before. Not in a necessarily Aries type of sense where we go and be the superhero. Different courage to say certain things. Taurus is the throat, voice to say, to express certain things in a vulnerable way, to have the courage to be grateful and express this, to have the courage to be vulnerable, to have the courage to feel joy, to feel happiness, sometimes to allow ourselves to feel all of those in this world, in the modern times, that That is actually a big deal. Sometimes we do need courage to allow those feelings to exist in our lives. So absolutely, this is a really, really beautiful energy as well. So moving on the 29th, we can see that Venus is in an erratic Scorpio. This can be quite a heavy energy where because it brings out the shadow side of Venus, and Venus is uncomfortable. Also in exile in the sign of Scorpio. So she's not a very happy bunny there, especially when she's in an erratic position. Our needs, our desires that are urgent, that we crave, that frustrate us deeply, are gonna drive us a little bit mad. The same goes for any sexual urges, fantasies, anything that has to do with that, anything that has to do with the more toxic feelings, comparing our situations to another, stuff like that. But fortunately, it's not gonna last for very long. And there's a really, really good energy here with her. She perfects her sextile with Pluto. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio where she's in. So this energy also has strong practicality there, because sometimes our frustrations, our inner anger, the acutization, the severity of a need get us to where we need to be. Either the sextile, someone helps us, someone in a position of power, in a position of authority, Pluto and Capricorn, for example. But we do need to reach out. We do need to drop pride. We do need to be honest about the fact that we need help. So you can see how the sextile plays out, that our urgent need leads us to taking a certain action, and that is the saving grace. And this can be a very powerful energy because Pluto is super powerful here. So Pluto can be someone who has all the power, all the resources, all the knowledge, reaching out, or put it into context in your situation, this energetic Venus. What does the satisfaction of your urgent need or desire ask you to do or not to do in some cases? Is it psychological? Is it practical? Is it communication? What is it? Because doing that gets you somewhere. So this is also the positive side of this energy. And then Venus enters into the sign of Sagittarius. And this is where her expression is totally different. Here she is definitely her most optimistic self, her most extravagant self. In the sign of Sagittarius, she loves to spend big, because she just is fascinated by everything that is, as I said, extravagant, exotic, unusual, represents the higher octave of something, the very, very best of something. Custom built, oh, she loves it in Sagittarius when something is just custom tailored for her needs. So, yeah, love of travel, love of knowing, the power of knowledge, love of studying, love of philosophy, love of spirituality. This is also justice. Love has to be present in justice and legal, anything that has to do with the legal domain. Love has to be present there. Beauty has to be present there. So yeah, Venus is becoming her Sagittarian self. So this comes as a breath of fresh air after her Scorpio stay, because she had quite a tough time there, without a shadow of a doubt, especially when she opposed Jupiter and Uranus and Sedna. And she will oppose Sedna actually on the 29th. So, yeah. But Sedna trines Pluto. So Pluto is the saving grace. You know, whatever frustrates you, whatever need or desire you don't have fulfilled, and it comes in through as a psychologically or hormonally. You know what I mean? Hormones can also torture you on the 29th, 28th, 29th, because this is also, as I said, a powerful sexual energy. So whatever kind of tortures you, there is a solution to it. A solution that is not extreme, you know, that works because Pluto trines Sedna, but it does require either a sacrifice or a gesture of great bravery, or dropping pride, or being more honest than you're comfortable with, you know? So yeah. And Mars also on the 29th perfected its square with Neptune. So hope, but also delusion battle one another. This is ultimately a good energy, even if physically we may be feeling drained, even if this is where, because of substances, of alcohol, ultimately Neptune, any kind of excess, Sagittarius is excessive. We might be feeling physically a little bit ill, a little bit wishy-washy, a little bit in the clouds because of some reason. And in the big picture, this is really helping us align ourselves with what is healthy for us, principle, philosophy, and measure-wise in our lives. And finally, oh, and also Mars, especially on the 31st, takes Mercury's place in the sense that it is conjunct the galactic center. So that's powerful. Expect any kind of cosmic galactic event. And on the world stage, space travel, aviation, cosmology, quantum physics, the academics world highlight in the past 2 years. This is when expect all of those things to happen. And individually speaking, where is this point falling into your chart? Because there is a strong energizing activation there. And finally, on the 31st, Jupiter stands still in the sky, but I repeat, it basically stands still all throughout the week. But this is the official date when it goes direct. So Jupiter is changing slowly directions, which means that at one moment it will rehold its trine with Mercury after Mercury goes back into Capricorn, but this is going to be next year if I'm not mistaken. And this is when Jupiter gets external, you know, it is externalized. So all of the topics around justice, especially externally speaking, you know, on the world stage, those are gonna, everything that was initiated, debated, everything that was basically highlighted by the Jupiter retrograde is now gonna be retaken and worked with profoundly, changing a lot. Because Jupiter in Taurus, that's practical. That's for our long-term, very long-term stability. So laws, legislation, things that have to do with justice, especially the economic laws. What economic equilibrium, fair play, fair competition means, all those things are going to be worked on as Jupiter goes back direct on its shadow path. So very, very important energy. And also Mercury, even though officially it's on the 1st of January, but still Mercury as well stands still in the sky and prepares to go direct. And this is so very funny because Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. So it's almost like Jupiter's halt is affecting Mercury's halt. Both of them are going to come to a standstill and then start making their way direct backwards on the shadow path, and then getting to a point where they exit it, and that's going to be the moment when they're going to enter truly new and fresh territory. But all of this is definitely the horoscope of 2024. Now, if you'd like to know what the year 2024 may bring into your lives or the karmic patterns playing out, I have a special video series where I do a taroscope for each and every zodiac sign about their year 2024. Check it out if you're guided. And I'm also gonna uh, edit and upload a special video about the major astrological transits for the year 2024, but that a little bit later on, so next week. And this is, and one last thing. As Mercury comes to a standstill, it will quincunx, not perfectly, not exactly, but still it will quincunx Uranus. So again, we might be overflown, bombarded with communication and news and anything like that. So, and also there might be blockages or even, how should I say, sabotage, perhaps this is the best word, of on the internet. So in some places, the internet being sabotaged, if that makes sense. And with this being said, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for all the love and all the support all throughout the year. Wishing everyone blessed holidays and also a very, very happy and blessed and fortunate new year. Even though, astrologically speaking, we might have to wait until Aries season until the next cycle begins, but in our human world, wishing everyone a very happy new year. And thank you, absolutely everyone, for everything. Thank you for giving me the chance to be here. And with this being said, until next time, bye for now.